Canlis has a national reputation for fine dining, but it also gets points for creativity, serving meals in yurts.
You just kind of get yurty, you kind of just fall in love with one.
Irritating to some, irresistible to others, these have surged in popularity during the pandemic. And you may not know Fritz Hedges, but his new namesake park is making plenty of people happy. These stories and more next on CityStream. Hi, I'm Tatevik Aprikyan. Welcome to CityStream. Around town, this is a familiar sight. Restaurants serving meals in well-ventilated tents, since dining in is out. But recently, Governor Inslee announced a plan to slowly ramp up indoor dining. That's a welcome change, especially during these cold winter months. Well, as we all know, restaurants have been dealing with COVID restrictions differently. For Canlis, creativity has been its main ingredient to stay open. Dinner and this view, it just goes together. Here at Canlis Restaurant in Seattle, a family-owned business for more than 70 years, nationally recognized for its elegant fine dining, this year, dinner has a different view.
This season, that's 11 yurts in a parking lot, which frankly is something I never thought I'd say out loud, but also it's been a lot of fun.
Canlis is one of 15 restaurants around the country to open a yurt village.
This was just a way to navigate through the stormier months.
During Seattle's gloomy gray winters, which are one of Canlis's most profitable seasons, the Yurt Village transports diners to a cozy getaway, giving the restaurant an opportunity to offer its memorable Canlis experience in a safe, warm place to eat out.
You just kind of get yurty, you kind of just fall in love with one.
Guests are welcomed with hot apple cider brewing on an antique camping stove on the back of an old pickup truck.
Welcome to the Yurt Village. Come check it out. The way it works is that everyone has their own yurt. It's kind of like private dining outside in a tent.
Mark and his staff went all out building the Yurt Village and showcasing the Pacific Northwest with each yurt.
We named them for our favorite ski runs in Washington State.
The Canlis crew even got permits and headed to the mountains to cut down the alder trees and noble firs and plant them here at the village.
It's cozy, right?
In classic Canlis fashion, no detail was spared. A campfire outside adds the smell of burning cedar to the air. An old ski lift from Crystal Mountain is the perfect place for photos. And once inside,
you've got your windows open and your doors open. You've got, this is the heater, and then this is the trick. We actually put heaters under the tablecloth so your legs are warm.
Each yurt is a little different. Eddie Bauer and the Washington State Ski and Snowboard Museum provided vintage decor that's sure to get the dinner conversation going.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with 11 yurts after this, but maybe just put one in my backyard or something.
The Yurt Village is the latest concept the restaurant experimented with in 2020. Over the past 10 months of the pandemic, Canlis closed indoors and began to cook up new ideas outside. In early spring, their iconic valet drive-up turned into a burger drive-thru.
That was our speed record, was a car every 45 seconds.
From then on, the restaurant dished up quite the mix. From a bagel shed and a crab shack in the summer to building software to run their own delivery service and offering a piano live stream to accompany meals at home.
And then that randomly turned into a bingo show, which we have no business doing, but had so much fun, which turned into a drive-in movie theater.
Cars packed the Canlis parking lot off Aurora, turning into the big screen. In the fall, remote learning inspired the Canlis Community College. 12,000 people took virtual classes on everything from cooking and wine to the history of Seattle.
That's how we've been thinking about it as a company, less what has been taken away from us by the pandemic, and more, what do we still have to give?
The team meets every week to figure out how to pair the best meals and experience with whatever the pandemic serves up next.
First day that we'll be doing to-go pickups is going to be next Monday.
I feel like my crystal ball has been broken for months. Maybe the Yurt Village is perfect for right now, and maybe it's not for the spring, and maybe in the spring something else is perfect.
That perfect view with dinner, at least for now, is no longer what goes together here at Canlis.
I got this note today. Let me read this line to you. I realize that you may not need a letter of support right now, but on so many levels, I want you to know that you're doing an exceptional job. And I read that and I was like, oh my goodness, you have no idea how much I need this letter. Like, it means everything to us. And so I think people look at what Canlis has done and they think like, oh, you guys have it all put together and you've all figured it out and it's all just like roses. If you could know how hard they're working behind that door, or like what it takes to pull off service every night, what it takes to pull off delivery, or million stupid things we've done these last 10 months, then I would say to her like, oh, thank you for your letter, and thank you for supporting the staff, and thank you for that little tip, or that little smile, or that little, or like the things that people put on the internet and social. It means so much.
Like all things in 2020 we never anticipated, dinner in a yurt and a parking lot for a dining room are the new offerings on this season's menu that end up pairing quite nicely. The Yurt Village is open until the end of February, but depending on how the pandemic goes, Mark Canlis says they may consider leaving it open longer. This has become popular during the pandemic, but these are no ordinary puzzles. We'll show you as CityStream continues. Welcome back to CityStream. A lot of you have been asking questions about the COVID-19 vaccinations, so here's a quick update for you. Right now, the vaccine supply remains limited, with most doses reserved for individuals at long-term care facilities and frontline health workers. The city received approval to serve as a vaccine distributor in mid-January, and the Seattle Fire Department has now launched 2 mobile teams to vaccinate residents and staff at adult family homes.
We really are going to direct our efforts to those people who cannot get the vaccinations in other ways. We have to close gaps, and we have to think about this differently. With enough supply in our 2 mobile teams, we think that in 2 weeks' time, we can provide every adult family home in Seattle not served by the federal government with a COVID-19 vaccination.
For all other residents, the state is now in vaccination phase 1B. Anyone over the age of 65 or anyone older than 50 living in a multi-generational household is eligible to receive the vaccine. If you're wondering how to register to get a shot, or if you have other vaccine-related questions, go to the Washington State Department of Health website. That's doh.wa.gov. Until many more people get the vaccine, a lot of us will continue to stay at home. And maybe you're one of the millions of Americans around the country that's been captivated by a craze that's sweeping the nation for the second time in a century. Producers Kathy Tui and Valerie Vaza explain.
"2020 has brought us many surprises. Yes, we're in a pandemic, but one bright spot has emerged to provide us with a way to de-stress: jigsaw puzzling. In fact, the popularity of this hobby caught puzzle makers by surprise.
Before COVID, we had just kind of gotten out of the holiday season. Well, I think what we're going to do is...
Meet Whitney Sheehan, owner of Bewilderness Puzzles in Woodinville.
All of a sudden, when people went through various stages of lockdown, orders started flooding in.
That's because puzzle shelves in stores were empty. And that's when the Bewilderness online business really took off.
Our sales went up about 400, 500% of a typical spring. I was hoping we were getting closer to something finished. Right. And now I'm kind of like revamping it.
After graduating with a math degree and working in tech for 10 years, Whitney wanted something more.
So that's where wooden puzzles came in. I'd always thought they were beautiful, really fun to put together, and I thought I could do that and bring something new to the wooden puzzle world.
Not coincidentally, the very first puzzles were made of wood.
John Spilsbury, a map maker in London, England, made the first commercially successful jigsaw puzzles in about 1760, 1770.
Renowned puzzle historian Ann Williams has written several books on the topic.
He took his maps and he pasted them onto thin wood. Then he cut them into pieces and sold them to the aristocracy in England so they could educate their children in geography.
More entertaining themes came along, like nursery rhymes and fairy tales. And by the 20th century, cardboard puzzles were mass-produced. Then in the 1930s, the Great Depression took hold of the country.
Unemployment went up to 25% nationwide, but in some cities it was 50%.
With little money to spend, people were looking for inexpensive entertainment.
It used to be crossword puzzles and backgammon and mahjong. Now it's jigsaw, and it's got the whole country steamed up.
By February of 1933, estimates from contemporary newspapers are that 10 million puzzles were going into American households every week. Given that there were only 30 million households, that's a very striking number.
The pandemic of 2020 brought a similar situation, with people confined to home looking for a diversion.
It's a nice outlet for people to do.
I-5's down here somewhere. We have our Seattle puzzle here today, the neighborhoods of Seattle.
You have to find things that you can do to try to keep things normal.
Which brings us back to how today's puzzle makers are keeping up.
We just started working way longer hours than we typically would work during the spring.
They also got a third laser cutter, hired more people, and moved to a bigger workspace. And they've been turning out puzzles as fast as they can to keep up with orders.
The cool thing about making puzzles with lasers is whatever you can dream up on the computer, you can make the laser cut it. This one is definitely our most popular puzzle, and we cut this with the circle geometric pattern. It's kind of dark to be able to see this as the laser's cutting it, so we'll go ahead and show you what it's like just with the plain wood. After the puzzle comes off the laser, we air it out to get rid of the burning smell on the racks. From there, we do quality assurance and any necessary surgery on the puzzle.
All that precision isn't lost on puzzle fans. Wooden or cardboard, jigsaw puzzles are satisfying on so many levels.
You're starting with just a jumble of pieces and you're turning it into something beautiful, and it's a really nice way to still do something fun that's not looking at a screen.
I can't stop once I get started. I just have to put the next piece in and the next piece in and the next piece in.
My mom really likes to focus on the flowers. I like to just find one group and focus on that. She likes to do skies or something of similar colors, and then my dad just kind of walks around.
Another reason to do puzzles during a time like this is to feel like you can create some kind of order out of chaos, to solve a problem that's a little bit easier to solve, but not too easy. It's a fun business to be in. Yeah.
Whether you're a newbie or a seasoned puzzler, there's nothing quite like placing that last little piece.
There is some good news. A lot of those jigsaw puzzles are back in stock, so if you've been secretly eyeing that 4,000 piece puzzle, check it out. It might just be available. We'll be right back. Next on CityStream, you may not know Fritz Hedges, but a new park named in his honor is definitely worth a visit. Earlier, we told you about restaurants offering tent service, also Canlis and the Yurt Village. Another way to enjoy a meal safely outside is at Seattle's newest park. It's a 3-acre gem located on the shores of Portage Bay, right next to UW. Producer Vincent Pierce takes a look.
We are at the brand new, just opened yesterday, Fritz Hedges Park. This is our newest one.
I'd been running this route a bunch, and the fence, you know, I was just like the little kid, like looking in the window, couldn't wait till it got open.
I mean, it's not very often we get to develop new waterfront parks, so they come along very, very infrequently, as you can imagine.
We have been waiting for the last 2 years for this park to open up and peering through and imagining the possibilities, and we're so excited that the fence has come down and there's people and they're here enjoying it, there's children playing, and I think it's going to be just a wonderful amenity for the city.
Opening up our access to the waterways, allowing kayaks to have a place to safely put in is really huge.
So the vision is this really great kind of south-facing waterfront park, which you get the big panoramic view of the open sky, and so it's really passive open space for folks to come and, you know, bring their lunch, relax, read a book.
You've got crew boats going by, you've got houseboats across the way, you've got drawbridges going up and down. We saw, what was that thing called? A hydrofoil. I hadn't seen one of those in a long time. It is just quintessential Seattle, all within one park.
Given what everyone's been dealing with this year, to give folks additional opportunities to get outside and just be outside is, you know, super important to us. So it's great to see people using it, and we're happy that people are out here.
It's a lovely park. It's just great.
Well, that wraps up this week's episode of CityStream. If you'd like to learn more about all the great programming we have on the Seattle channel, just visit seattle.gov and click on Feature Shows. I'm Tatevik Aprikyan. Thank you for watching.